But the Buffalo Bills have tweeted out some really encouraging news about Demar Hamlin, that he's made remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours, that he's neurologically intact, and that, his lungs are improving. So, with everybody here yesterday being so upset and, just so focused in on the well-being of Demar Hamlin, how do you think this news will hit today, you guys?
I definitely think it's positive. That was a very scary situation for a lot of people. It's a violent game we play, but you don't ever want to see something like that happen. I know some of the coaches on their staff, so I reached out to them. So it's good to hear that he is doing better, and hopefully he makes a full recovery. But again, that's just something that's hard to deal with that you don't want to see happen on the football field.
And did you, kind of have to rally your players a little bit to be able to just kind of set that aside and go out and try to do their jobs yesterday? Or
Kevin addressed the whole team, and he took care of it. They have an opportunity to speak to somebody if they have problems, one of our psychologists. But I didn't address it past that. I think the guys are fine with it as far as I know.
Joe, obviously Grant had a couple of big picks Sunday and the one against New Orleans. What kind of progress has he made from the beginning of the season, where whether or not it's his fault, he felt like he was around a lot of the bad big plays that were happening, versus how he's playing right now?
I think for all young guys, the more you play, the more reps you get. That's more exposure. And I think through the season, he had his struggles early, but I think he's gained confidence with the plays that he's made. I feel like he's becoming more of a leader of the secondary. You can see it. And for him, I just thought it was a matter of time. I watched him when he came. I watched every play when he came out of college this last year, and you could see it. That was in him. I think he was really recovering from the injury, and he didn't know how healthy he was. So I think that slowed him down a little bit. But again, as the season's been progressing, he's been making more plays, and you can see the confidence coming out of him.
What do you see out of him as a run defender? As far as I know he's always in there.
Yeah.
How solid of a tackler is he? How willing is he to be in there?
He's good. That's one of the things that we talk about. We're trying to put him down in the box more, just with the different schemes we're running. But he's tackled a lot better down in the box and in the open field, and that's definitely a bonus for us. There's some things we're going to do with him this week as well.
Obviously, linebackers have been announced and stuff, but your two leading tackles are safeties. Is that something in today's day with the defense? A lot of people think, oh, it's got to be the linebackers, but
I think it's both. I think on most teams it's going to be linebackers or safeties, and we do a lot of stuff where our safeties are involved in a run fit, so that doesn't surprise me.
The linebackers, Reggie Ragland got in there for the first time. Just that bigger body getting in there, is that something linebacker core may need moving forward? Is that bigger guy?
Not necessarily. I think he's come in. He's done a good job. Definitely like to see him out there. We're going to take advantage of that. Just getting him more involved in some of the stuff schematically with pressures. But I think he's more comfortable with the defense. You've seen him make some plays, but it's good to get him out there.
Hey, Joe, you guys have given up 10 fewer touchdown passes than you did after 17 games last year, but 7 more rushing touchdowns. So how would you explain that?
Yeah, I did not know that. I think everybody knows we struggle with the run game this year. So giving up more touchdowns, because of that, makes sense. I feel like our guys in the secondary, it's another year those guys together. The communication has gotten better throughout the season. I feel like we have guys that can match up, against other top receivers. So that's why I think we're playing better from a pass standpoint. And obviously, again, just the run game, we have to get better.
Joe, given the communication problems you guys had early on, young guy like Grant coming back, the injuries to linebacker, has this been your most challenging season?
It's challenging in different ways. I think we worked through a lot of the issues that we had early on in the season, and we just try to give them a sound game plan that they can go out, play fast, and execute. And I think throughout the early parts of the season, we made those adjustments. And I think the guys really, probably since week 11, that we've played a lot better.
There's I'm sure you'll go back every week and say, I should have done this, that, and the other thing differently. As a whole, is there something you regret or you wish you had done differently?
No, not really. You know, I think you have to work through issues. Like, you never know. There's some things that I'm not doing pressure-wise that I would like to do, but when I'm looking back over, I just think it's a learning process. Because you get new guys, and you're trying to figure out who they are as players and what you're capable of doing defensively. And I think we learned that throughout the season. But there's nothing I go back and regret.
Given how your defense has really come on strong the last few weeks or so, how much do you hope you have the opportunity to continue on and to see this thing through and to build on that?
You know, I hope that's the case. I mean, right now I'm still, focused on, the Steeler game. It's a big game for us. But I hope I have the opportunity to come back. I know things haven't gone the way we would like them to go this year, but I feel like, the first season going to the playoffs, winning game first time in 26 years, something like that. The next year we didn't, win a lot of games, and that's what it's all about. But we did improve defensively, I think, to number 5. And again, through the end of the season, I think we are playing better. And it's the guys out there getting experience, playing together. And I feel like the guys we have on our team, because we have a young team, they're all coming back next year. We'll have a full off season. So long story short, I hope I get the opportunity, but that's not my decision.
So I know earlier this year, like you talked about, as far as like you can't ride the emotional roller coaster when it comes to that outside criticism, especially on social media. I guess just how do you think you've handled that this far now?
You just have to be tough-minded. Things aren't always going to go your way, but as long as you're confident, because you have to be that way with the players, because if you doubt yourself, they're going to doubt themselves. But the one thing I would say is I was in this situation as a position coach in 2019 when I went to San Francisco. I think Kyle's first year they were 6-10, and then they were 4-12 the second year. And when I got there was a lot of people, calling for Saleh because they regressed a little bit defensively. Kyle made some changes, and we went in. They were 4-12, last place in division. In 18, we had a couple key additions in the offseason, and we went from last to first in the division, 13-3, and went to the Super Bowl. So I feel like that's something that's possible here, just with the roster that we have. And I think, again, the guys will be better next year.
Second straight year where, down the stretch, your unit has shown marked improvement in play. The critics will say, well, where was that in the first half of the season? What is just, from your perspective, what is your, I guess, response to that? That, you good in the second half, but you have those struggles early in the season.
I think it goes back to when you have some new players. I think when you put the scheme together, you're really trying to figure out what they do well, what works for you defensively, and week in and week out, you're playing different teams, different schemes. And I think that was big for us this year. There were some things that we were doing that we weren't having a lot of success with, that we had success with in the past. And I think we had to adjust, and I think we did that. And again, halfway through the season, I think we're playing better. We didn't win the amount of games that we wanted to, but I do feel like we started playing better defensively.
Have you been given, has that discussion happened at all? Have you been given any reassurances that you will have that opportunity to come back and see this through?
No. I'm sure, we're going to have those discussions after the season like we do every year.